It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Mixing things up this week on the Kirby on Sports Podcast, we talk some big headlines around the National Football League. Then the cross-offs, and to wrap things up with an extended version of the hurry-up offense. All coming your way next. You're listening to the Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Shout out Q. Shout out Q.
Indeed, I'm glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Welcoming you to the Trumbull Insurance Agency virtual studio. Turn your stress and anxiety into peace and security with Trumbull Insurance. Contact Patrick Bankemper today at 540-532-0622 or drop him an email, patrick@trumbullagency.com. For our sponsors, Regroup Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, this is another edition of the Kirby on Sports Podcast. As always, joined by the three-man booth in Dan Dembski and the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. It's going to be a very different show.
Brief.
Very different indeed. Because
this week was terrible.
Sucked. Every team pretty much won by an average of 20 points. This has not happened since like the 1970s, if I heard correctly. This week was awful.
If you wanted to miss a week of football, this was the week you wanted to miss because it was absolutely terrible. I mean, watching all the games. I mean, Monday Night Football, I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Geno Smith, Jameis Winston. I'm like, come on. I mean, there's nothing to say about any of these games in depth, because they were all pretty much blowouts.
Yeah, I know we talked about a couple weeks ago that week was going to be a dud, but this took dud to a whole new level. This was 6 feet below the dud. It was a bad week of football for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It's rare we see that happen. So hopefully this coming up week will be a little more exciting.
Well,
and I don't have to worry about my team losing, so that'll be nice.
Well, we're gonna mix things up here on the Kirby on Sports Podcast. Once again, the three-man booth. I'm glad you're with us here, guys. So anyways, to start things off, we're going to do sort of a headline segment to start the show. Then we're going to do a segment that Carlos brought to our attention. So thank you, Carlos. We appreciate that. It's called the cross-off segment.
The Swiss Army knife delivers.
Yes, the Swiss Army knife delivers.
Brother.
But that we'll do a cross-off segment. We'll get into more of that, but it has to do with our thoughts on who is basically eliminated from the playoffs at this point. Then we will do a brief recap of each and every team in an extended version of the hurry up offense. So let's get it started. We'll turn it over to co-host and lead contributor Dan Dembski to talk about the headlines and stories around the National Football League.
Well, thank you very much. What a warm introduction. It's been a busy week. Obviously the big story is now involving Josh's Washington football team. Ex-employees have accused the NFL of covering up sexual harassment and assault, as well as the letter that was given to the NFL's Social Justice Committee had 12 former WFT employees that discussed the misconduct in workplace harassment, sexual harassment that took place So again, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little in the last couple weeks. I said with the John Gruden story, that tied into the WFT investigation. Obviously, it's not going to be the last time that we'd heard about that. And on top of this story, you had Roger Goodell say that he believes that Dan Snyder and the Washington football team have been punished enough, which, asking him to step away from the team is not a punishment because, his family, it's still the team is still owned by his family, which is, his wife is sort of has the reins right now. So that's a bunch of crap. I'll say that much. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on this because we're seeing more and more former employees come out and talk about the disgusting and awful workplace environment that they had to go through. That obviously was a big part of, I guess now, like a year, like at the end of 2019, early 2020, something like that. It's been a while now that this has been going on.
All right, so
Kirby?
I'll start here. It's inexcusable if what they're saying is true, which why would they be lying? So it's inexcusable. I mean, come on, the NFL is a workplace like any other job. Yeah, I mean, it's just tough for me to wrap my brain around this because this is a team I support, and they're off the field. Their on the field play is terrible, and their off the field play. I mean, it's just wearing my patience thin here. And like to hear of such a storied franchise with so many iconic names. I know they're not all the best, but so many iconic names that we have grown up watching. And to hear about everything that's been going on in the workplace for the Washington football team and to hear the commissioner's statements, yeah, you can cover it up all you want, but sooner or later, it's going to come to the light. And I hope if and when it comes to the light, which time will tell, it's maybe tomorrow, maybe a week from now, maybe a month from now, maybe a year from now. Who knows? But if you get what I'm saying, but it's going to come to light eventually. When it does, we don't know. And if it doesn't come to light, I'd be very surprised because I mean, it's just, once again, it's very tough for me to wrap my brain around it, but cover it up all you want, but it's going to come to light. And I hope when it does, the people who are involved are held accountable. And I hope there will be some very strict punishments. What Roger Goodell said on the podium, I feel like that was force-fed from PR or something. Clearly, he's hiding something. He's hiding something.
It's just funny. It's funny from that point of view because we remember the Deflategate and the Robert Kraft situation, which were two ones that he was very much against when most of the time he wouldn't be. This is something that's very, very serious, and it's just crazy. And on top of this, now you have Congress that's asked the NFL to like have a more thorough investigation and show more transparency. That to me is just insane. The fact that, there's been all this, now you have Congress stepping in and saying, do your shit right, essentially. It's just crazy. And it's only going to develop more over time. I mean, you have, 650,000 emails that were collected as part of this investigation. And obviously, pretty much everyone has the same thought that, what Gruden said was not the worst of this. There's a ton more stuff there has to be. And I know the NFL said last week that they weren't going to release any more of those emails or make them public, whatever the case may be. So, they're going to get hammered on this as they should. And, now that Congress has stepped in, it's only going to get more, it's only getting more serious. It's just crazy.
I mean, you can only hold it for so long before it comes to light. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe Joe Biden's going to call a press conference asking for this to get released. Who knows? I think he's
got, well, it probably won't get to that, but
bigger fish to fry than.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on now that's more important than that.
Still, I'm just saying who knows? Maybe it could get to that point, but it's just terrible. Everybody involved. I mean, I just hate that they're having to go through this. I'm glad people are coming out and telling their story, because stuff like this is unacceptable in the NFL, in my opinion. And for Roger Goodell to come out and say, Dan Snyder's been held accountable enough? Really? Given 100% ownership of the Washington football team and making his wife in charge? Where's the accountability there? Come on. And only fined 10,000, 100,000? I forget how much, but he was fined money too.
Yeah.
But come on.
And the crazy thing is that more and more ex-employees have stepped up now. It's not just like with some investigations where you hear about 2 or 3 people who make themselves known. Now we're seeing more and more women comfortable to come out and, talk about the workplace culture, which has to be extremely difficult for them. My hat's off to their courageous effort on that. So yeah, it's a complete and utter mess. It's really only going to get worse. And eventually the NFL is going to have a response to this. You can't just keep, kicking the can down the road and expect that this thing's going to go away. It's not going to go away. And if anything, it's only going to pick up more steam.
Yeah. The more they try to hide it, the more it's going to, the more people are going to be demanding, for them to release it. I just don't understand why they're trying to hide it. Clearly the people deserve to know, especially the fans deserve to know what was going on in that building. And Dan Snyder needs to be held accountable. And when we say held accountable, we don't mean, he loses, control of the team. His wife is running things now. We're talking, he needs to sell the team. It's clear, he's run that franchise to the ground. They just aren't good. And we obviously have experienced FedEx recently. It's kind of outrageously expensive. So that $100,000 fine that they gave him, he made that back in a weekend, basically. Dan Snyder's a scumbag. The whole old regime of the Washington football team, they're all scumbags too. I hope justice is served. I hope that this report does come out. I hope that we as a public get to see it. And, I wouldn't blame people for not supporting this team anymore, because honestly, what have they really given you? So that's all I got to say about it. It's a horrible, horrible situation that happened. I hope those people who were victimized in this whole situation get the justice they're looking for.
Yeah. And what I hope is there's not only, justice from the NFL, but also hopefully there's some legal justice as well, because illegal things were committed in all of this. I mean, that's something to remember, but obviously that's further down the road. The first things first. I mean, you have to discipline those who not only, started this, but propagated it and allowed it to fester and continue. That's to me where it all starts.
Yeah. I mean, this Beth Wilkinson report, you have the Washington football team and their investigation into the Washington football team. And what is given is an oral report. When Tom Brady deflates footballs, 246 pages, man. Oh my gosh, deflating footballs are that much worse than what's going on in Ashburn, Virginia?
Right. Exactly.
246 pages for a deflated football. And you have an oral report for Ashburn.
That's what I was saying.
Think about that. Think about it, Dan. Think about it, Carlos. An oral report compared to deflated footballs in New England.
Yeah, and maybe the NFL's held liable too, as they should be, because they've really butchered this thing. And yeah, it's wow, it's just insane. And I mean, the main thing is we just want justice for all the victims. I mean, that's the number one thing.
I just feel so bad for
whatever it takes. Yeah.
It's just a shit show. The NFL, they constantly botch investigations like this all the time. Think about, I mean, they're still waiting, on the whole Deshaun Watson thing, and he's about to be traded, and he's going to probably play this season, even though he's got all those,
We'll talk about that.
all those legal issues. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just incredible to me that like they always have that one option of like, if they do this, the NFL will be looked on so much more favorably, and they constantly choose the other option. It's astounding to me that this league is as successful as it is, and yet they constantly make the wrong decision on issues. I don't know. They're obviously trying to hide something. There's something in this investigation that they do not want to come to light. Maybe it is maybe it's not just Washington. Maybe it's other franchises too, where this issue is happening. You know,
Could be.
Maybe they just don't want to expose it because they know that it'll be a costly scandal if all this does come to light. We don't know. Obviously, this is all just speculation on our part, but yeah, you know, just release the report. Just release the report.
Transparency
and be
everything.
done with it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be done with it. Like, take action on what comes out in the report, but you know, don't keep these people like waiting in suspense on whether you're going to release it or not. Just release the report. Don't make them fight years to try to get that report released to the public.
Totally agree.
All right, let's move on to the next subject. Dan, go right ahead.
Yes. So since Carlos brought up Deshaun Watson, we will go to that next and talk about Tua Tagovailoa had a quote where'd it go? See, I already lost it. I'm losing my mind here. He essentially says he doesn't feel wanted by the Dolphins with all this talk of them getting Deshaun Watson. And obviously it's looking more and more like that's going to happen. There's no guarantee, obviously, with any of this. But as we know, Deshaun Watson, and Carlos talked about his legal issues, 22 separate lawsuits of sexual misconduct. That's a heavy cross to bear if you're an NFL franchise. And I mean, it's one thing to have a guy who had issues in the past and they're in the past. It's another thing to get a guy who's got active lawsuits against him and that many. I'm not so sure about this, but yeah, Tua's been asked about this several times. Brian Flores said today that he's still their quarterback. I mean, obviously he's going to say that. What's he going to say? You know, we'll see what happens. So this whole situation is kind of a mess. You know, Deshaun Watson, you know, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that he wouldn't help any NFL team, but you have to think about like the decision you're making, not only from, you know, like a PR standpoint, but like a moral and ethics standpoint as well. Like there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. And I think that's definitely something that the Dolphins or any other NFL team that's interested in him, I think there's 3 or 4, they have to consider that.
As far as I know, the Dolphins are the actually only runner, they're the front runners to get him. I know the Panthers said they're out.
Yeah.
I can't remember what other teams are really going after him. I know there was a couple.
I think
more.
that was it. I think it's just the Dolphins and the Panthers. I think originally it was more teams, but it's been funneled down the last.
Well, you know, it's because, you know, the Texans asking price is 3 first-round picks, and there's only a few teams that have that type of capital. Obviously, the Dolphins are one of them, but yeah, it's a messy situation. You know, obviously they would definitely benefit from having Deshaun Watson. On a football standpoint, the move makes sense in my opinion, because I just don't think Tua has it. I don't think he's the guy. And also it's, you know, he's been injured a lot and there's just a lot wrong with Tua that I feel like maybe he needs to get out of Miami. But from a PR standpoint, kind of like an outside of football standpoint, if I was the Dolphins, I wouldn't make this move. There's just too much unanswered right now, and so many legal and of course the nature of this whole thing is just very touchy, you know, obviously because it's sexual misconduct. It's a lot of women involved. Obviously you need to give, like, who's to say Deshaun Watson's even going to be allowed to play anyways? Who's to say, you know, the reason why Roger Goodell hasn't like put him on the commissioner's exempt list is because they haven't had to, is like their constant line, because he's not even playing. He's never at the games. He's you know, when he practices, he's practicing by himself. He's not really doing anything with the team. So they haven't had to put him on it. Well, what happens when he goes to Miami and then they try to play him the first week he's there? Are they going to suspend him then? Like, what's going to happen there? So then what's the point of trading your 3 first-round picks if you don't even know if he's going to be available for the season?
Also, what? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quickly, what kind of football shape is he in? Because we know he's kind of on his own as far as, staying in shape and all that. But not just that, like, how do we know he's still a solid quarterback? We haven't seen him for a year now, so that's something else to consider too.
I mean, let's be honest. The Dolphins this season is lost. They're on the cross-off nominees. Like, is it really worth trading 3 first-round picks for a guy you're not even sure is going to be available this season and maybe in the future? Because who's to say what's going to happen here? Now, obviously, Deshaun Watson hasn't necessarily been charged with anything yet, but he does have some criminal complaints processing right now, so we don't know if he's going to eventually be charged. That's still on the table.
It's messy.
It's too messy of a situation. So if I was any franchise right now, I'd just stay away from Deshaun Watson. Totally. I understand he's a generational talent. I understand he's a good quarterback, but I mean the allegations are serious. They're not to be taken lightly. So I would just stay away.
Yep.
I'm a believer, and you've heard me say this before, that you're innocent until proven guilty, but still there's so much out in the open, and you all pretty much touched on it, nail on the head. So all I'm going to say is, why take a risk to trade for a quarterback that might get suspended or even worse, arrested? I mean, that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's innocent until proven guilty, but nothing's been proven yet. And there's a lot of let's face it, the odds are stacked against him. Like, if you look at all these lawsuits and, as Carlos said, the criminal complaints, you add those together and it's pretty serious. So it's just not worth it in the slightest. And of course sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the thing: where there's smoke, there's fire. All these women didn't all just collectively decide this. There's something had to have happened where, there's no way they all had the same experience, and like it's all a big conspiracy. Like where there's smoke, there's fire. Something happened. It'll eventually come to light. Obviously, like you guys said, innocent until proven guilty, but it's not looking good for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it's terrible for sure. So. All right, the next story is a little lighter. It was Mike Tomlin was asked early this week about the possibility of him winning the USC job, and of course he got very defensive. I don't know why the hell he would want that job, but that's just me. He's got it made with Pittsburgh, and he's also considered to be one of the best coaches in the NFL. So why would he want to leave all that behind and start over in college? But yeah, it's his name's been drawn to that job, and they asked him about it, and obviously he gave a very strong answer where he said basically he would never do that. There's not enough. What did he say? There's not enough money from boosters that would.
There's no booster who would have enough money to put on a check or something like that.
Right, something like that.
I think that was incredible.
No booster with a big enough check to get me to go there. That's what it was. It was something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That was incredible. I love Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach. He will be in the Hall of Fame one day. I guarantee it. And
for sure. No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, for him to say that at a press conference, he is very emotional when it comes to stuff that he wants to just erase, not be asked about again. And that was one of them. I mean, you hear press conferences and stuff where people ask you the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you have to say different
stupid
variations of that.
A lot of times.
Yes, correct. And then, I mean, for that to it turns into the head coach being like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I've had enough. I'm done answering these questions." For him to just nip it at the bud where it began, I think that's very great. And it was a well thought out answer. It was a very emotional and strong answer. And I think that goes to show how invested Mike Tomlin is into making Pittsburgh into a title city again, because he's invested in Pittsburgh. I know they're off to a rough start. It's still a long season. They might be without Big Ben in who knows how long, assuming he retires.
That's okay. They're gonna get Aaron Rodgers next season.
But anyway, but besides the point, he is 100%. Yeah, besides the point, he is 100% there to help the Pittsburgh Steelers win another Super Bowl. He is there 100%. He is all in. And I think that answer at the press conference solidified that he is there to stay for as long as Pittsburgh will have him there.
And it's not like he's been there for 3 or 4 years. He's been there for 14 years. Like, he's built such a long track record of winning with Pittsburgh.
It's been that long.
It's been that long.
Hour left in 2006 after they won Super Bowl 40.
That is crazy. Time flies, man.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, time flies. So yeah, he would be silly to leave. And I don't think he would. Obviously the one name that's been pushed around a lot, this is like a sidebar, is former USC quarterback, former USC great, but average in the NFL, Carson Palmer. So that would be interesting to see him have that job. It makes sense for someone like him to have the job. I mean, he had a good career with USC, and he's not doing much now, so why not? All right, the next story is injured receivers or COVID receivers for the Packers. They got Alan Lazard and Devontae Adams were placed on the COVID-19 list. Not really. I mean, it's obviously it's not something long term that's going to be a big deal. We're just obviously looking for Thursday night when they're not going to play and they're playing the undefeated Cardinals. So it's not that much of a story. It's just more of an interesting thing to see. Kind of how Aaron Rodgers is able to to do without those two guys. I still think the Packers could win. I think they're that good, and Rodgers is that good. He doesn't, I mean, those guys make a big difference, but I think they can run the ball pretty effectively, and that would be huge. But yeah, that's just another little side note that I was thinking about.
Well, it helps that JJ Watt isn't going to be playing in this game. Chris.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. I mean, Randall Cobb is going to have a bigger role to play. Obviously, him and Rodgers already have good chemistry together.
Right.
I think that I haven't heard or seen anything that MVS is coming back this game or not. I know that Rodgers was hoping that he'd be back for this game. That would help also. It does suck because obviously this is a big game. It's probably the biggest Thursday night game of the season aside from the opener. It's two NFC powerhouses playing each other. This is going to be it's supposed to be a really big test to see, like, is Arizona for real? Is Green Bay still at a high, at the high level? Obviously there's been legendary games between the Cardinals and the Packers. Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's plenty. I think they had like an overtime playoff thriller. If I remember correctly. Like there have been legendary games between the Packers and the Cardinals during Aaron Rodgers' tenure. So, we'll see. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see how they do without Devontae Adams and without Alan Lazard. And again, like I said, the Cardinals are going to be without JJ Watt. That was announced a couple hours ago that he's out. And they got. I mean, the Packers got a lot on their plate here. Like, it's not going to be easy for them. So, good luck.
Well, even if they take the L, they're going to be fine. There'll
be that asterisk next to that, like, hey, they weren't even at full strength, and also it was a short week.
Right. Those Thursday night games are. I mean, you see a lot of rust.
Pointless. I still hate them. I don't understand them.
This one's going to be pretty good, but
the game itself is going to be good, but I just hate, Green Bay has it was a very physical game against Washington. I mean, we saw it last week with the Browns. The Browns literally lost everybody. Now, somehow they magically pulled that win out of their ass. But, like, it just didn't make sense for them to immediately go into Thursday night. Like Thursday night. Right. Why do we need Thursday night football? We already have Sunday and Monday. What's the point in Thursday?
Couldn't agree more. No, go ahead.
Well, thank you. So let me just say this. I think it's like Carlos said, these receivers being out, there's going to be other receivers getting the workload. But the Packers are that good of a team where I feel like these two people going out with COVID won't be that big of a deal, but still it could be a big deal.
Devontae Adams? Really?
Yeah,
you don't think that's
Devontae
not gonna be a
Adams
big deal not having Devontae Adams?
He's a
I mean,
stud, man.
The Packers, they're looking hot, in my opinion.
But you're saying that not having Devontae Adams is not going to be a big deal.
No. Let me backtrack. It's not going to be that big of a deal because I know Aaron Rodgers will lead this team, but Devontae Adams, yes, it is a big deal as well.
But he can't throw it to himself. You realize that, right? Like this isn't in the
just,
backyard.
I just feel like losing Adams, yes, it's going to hurt, but not as much as we think.
Okay,
whatever, Kirby.
we'll see.
I mean, that's a hot take, I guess. But...
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith over here.
I just feel like, in my personal opinion, yes, Devontae Adams is great.
Yeah.
They're both great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not great, but I feel like the Packers are going to do just fine because the coaching staff they have and Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest under center. But yes, it will be a tough test, but still that's how I feel. But I will tell you one thing for sure.
Here we go.
Washington does not have to worry because they stayed 6 feet apart from Devontae Adams. Yeah, that defense, baby.
Right, next.
Every time. Every time.
Hey, Washington's going to be just
Last
fine
story
because they
here.
were nowhere near 6 feet from Devontae Adams for that entire game.
I don't want to I don't want to shine any light on Washington. Just
He literally saw that on Twitter, I'm pretty sure. I saw somebody tweet that. Or he saw it on social media somewhere and he just copied it. You have to give permission. That's called plagiarism. Anyway, so the Jets, right? They got Zach Wilson's out with a PCL strain. So what do?
Joe Flacco, baby.
You trade for the GOAT, Joe Flacco.
Who do you call when your quarterback's out? Joe Flacco.
Oh man, it's so weird.
Hey, the Jets are going to the Super Bowl, baby, with Joe Flacco.
Shut up, Kirby. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. The Jets to the moon.
They can't get much worse, so why not? Like,
fair enough. I mean, actually, that's not true. They could be the Lions. Actually, I can't even bash the Lions. They actually fight hard.
Yeah,
they still lose. So
yeah, they still lose, but
it still counts
they
as an L.
They actually fight. They fight even though they.
You have a soft spot for Motor City Dan Campbell, and I know because
MCDC baby.
Because Pat McAfee loves him.
They have fight.
All their games have been close.
I bet money that the Lions win one game this season.
I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. Their schedule's tough. Their schedule's tough.
Who knows?
Yeah, so Joe Flacco last year, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks, didn't play much. Stats weren't as bad as I thought they were last year, actually, in his limited appearances with the Eagles. So there you go. Flacco gets another chance, I suppose. So that's strange to see. I didn't think he'd be, now he's the starting quarterback. He probably thought originally he was going to go to be backup, but nope, you're a starter once again. So good luck to you behind that offensive line. So
good luck. We're going to trade you to one of the worst teams in the league.
Have Flacco fun. To the moon.
Have fun. Jets to the moon.
Jets to the moon. Oh, they're so bad. Oh man. And that's all I got, fellas. Unless you guys can think of any other NFL stories, I want to.
Can I add one more?
Yeah, go
Mark
for
Ingram
it.
to the Saints.
Yeah, I saw that.
Big trust.
Yes.
Big trust.
Bring him back to Baltimore.
Oh, we need him right now, dude.
So from Ari Miroff at My Sports Update on Twitter, at the league meetings, asked about the Washington football team investigation, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he's very satisfied.
Why are we circling back to our first story? And why do we have to bring up Jerry Jones?
What did he say?
Well, yeah, I was reading it, but then Carlos rudely interrupted me.
I know.
You goddamn right, I rudely interrupted.
You can mute him, right?
At the league meetings, asked about the Washington football team.
Just say the quote already. What did he say?
Why stop reading the whole thing?
Jerry Jones said he's very satisfied with how the league handled it.
Yeah, he's full of shit. Of course he's gonna say that. Of course he's gonna say that. He's a homer.
I wasn't bashing Jerry Jones or the Cowboys. I was just
No, but I don't understand
He's
why
a
we
good
had to bring
old-
circle this back. Like, why didn't you bring that up while
He's
we
a
were
good
talking
old
about the
boy
actual
like-
topic?
because
a
I
good
did
old boy
not
like
see
Dan
that
Snyder.
at this current time, a moment in time. That's why.
Whatever. But
It's a good
anyways,
old
yeah,
boys club.
I'm not
the
surprised Jerry Jones
NFL
said
ownership.
that.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
All right.
surprised.
Jerry Jones is like the biggest part of that. So
He's wrong, by the way. He's absolutely wrong.
Wow,
Going
you're
back to the Cowboys.
disagreeing with Jerry World?
I mean,
All
he's
right, let's
old.
move on.
He's
My
old,
God.
white, and out of touch. I mean, he doesn't have an idea of what's going on. Literally, that's how I would describe Jerry Jones. And you know what? Most owners in the NFL are the same way. I would say about 80% of the NFL owners are the same way. So,
Hey, guys, let's just chip in
like
all
McNair from
together
the
and buy an
the
NFL
Texans.
team.
Yeah, we
What?
don't have that kind
Texans.
of money. And
Let's
none of
buy
us
the
will ever
Washington
have
football
that
team.
kind of money.
Yeah, Dan Snyder's net worth is insane, so it's not going to happen. But
And most
All
of that
right.
comes from Washington.
Yeah.
it
All
does
right,
now
let-
for sure.
Let's move on. We will get into the cross-off list here on the Kirby on Sports podcast right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you about Regroup Building Services. If you're looking to get your home remodeled, any part of your home, bathroom, kitchen, want to get a deck built, anything like that, Regroup Building Services can just about do everything. And take it from me, because they came in and they remodeled my family's kitchen, and they do a great job. So if you're looking for any sort of home remodeling needs, deck work done, anything of that nature, reach out to my guy Sean Hibbard over at Regroup Building Services today. You can check them out on their website, www.regroupbuildingservices.com, where they do the honeydews that your honey don't. Make sure you tell them Josh sent you. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. I am in the three-man booth with Dan Dembski and Carlos Martinez, the one and only Swiss Army knife of our podcast.
When do I get a cool title though?
We gave you a title, but Kirby won't
Kirby
use
doesn't
it.
say it. What is it?
It's the weapon.
The weapon. That's
the
right.
weapon.
Dan the Weapon Dembski.
Boom. Dan the Weapon Dembski and the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez. So
Proud of you.
we're gonna send it over to Carlos Martinez.
Send it
and
over.
we're gonna do a special segment called the cross-off list. So Carlos, explain more to our listeners about what the cross-off list is, and we will go ahead and get this started.
Well, as they said in the great movie Captain Phillips, I'm the captain now. So, with that being said, we're making some changes on this show. Anywho, no, in all seriousness. So basically,
I was about to say.
all we're doing here in the cross-off segment is basically I'm gonna throw out some nominees and we're gonna debate whether we should cross this team off out of playoff contention. I don't necessarily know how many we're gonna cross off this week. Our goal is to maybe cross off 6 or 7, so that from here on out we can cross off one team every week if we feel like we can. Yeah, I have a little list here. I have a list. So I'll give you guys the first nominee. I mean, some of these are pretty obvious. We're gonna cross them off. So let's just throw out our
think of
our
three
first
that are
easy
obvious.
one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you guys a layup. The Lions. Are we crossing off the Lions?
I wonder. That's a tough one. Is that a trick question?
Possibly.
Wait, how many kneecaps have they eaten?
0.
Damn. Well, then I'm gonna cross them off. Then it's too
Okay.
bad.
And what about you, Kirby? Do you vote to cross them off?
The Lions, Detroit. I mean,
Love the beard, by the way.
man, you know, it's We got to
It's
cross
fall.
them off, Carlos.
You got to start growing it in the fall.
We got to cross them off, Carlos. We got to cross them off.
Well, then it's unanimous because I'm saying we cross those, those poor little kitties,
Poor little
We cross
Jared
them
Goff.
All right.
Send him
they are
to the
officially
moon.
Crossed off. So the Lions are crossed off. All right. Let's go with the Houston Texans as our second nominee.
Yes. Goodbye.
You don't think they have a shot at making a run with Tyrod Taylor when he comes back?
I don't.
They're too far gone. They're too far gone. Whenever Tyrod
that's
comes
what I would
back,
say.
they are too far gone. I'm sorry about this.
They're 1-6. I mean, they would literally have to win out when he comes back. This would be a very different conversation if Tyrod was starting, because I feel like if Tyrod did not get injured, there's a chance that these Texans might be in the playoffs. But at this point, they're too far gone. Cross that name off your list, Mr. Martinez. And especially with this division, like, the Titans have been up and down. Of course, they played well the last few weeks, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But if Tyrod was healthy, if the Texans weren't such a dumpster fire, then I think they'd be a pretty good chance that they would be in the thick of things in that division. But yeah, they've got too many issues going on at once.
Okay, here's and I agree. I think we should cross off the Texans too. I don't think they're very, and even if they had if Deshaun Watson played, he played last year and they went 4-12. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't think he would have made that big of a difference. So I just don't think this team is very good.
Yep.
So here's an interesting one. The Seattle Seahawks obviously lost Russell Wilson. He's not coming back for another a few more weeks. Do you and obviously we've seen Geno Smith is terrible. I don't think they're going to win a game anytime soon. I don't know their schedule coming up, but I don't feel like they have. It shows how valuable Russell Wilson really is. This is really going to show have a newfound appreciation for the guy. But do you think not necessarily that they're a bad team, but do you guys think that they are out of playoff contention because of the injury and because of how long it's going to take for Russell Wilson to come back? Do you think it's going to be, when he comes back, it's going to be too big of a task for him to overcome?
Yeah, I think they're done. And especially because if you look at that division, of course, you got the undefeated Cardinals in first and the 6-1 Rams in second. I mean, they'd have a ton of ground to make a makeup rather. And what's the I mean, how many weeks is Russell Wilson out? They could be out like what, 6?
I think they're saying he's going to be. They said he could possibly be back week 9, but they are. I don't remember the Seahawks.
If they lose, if they lose 3 more games, because I guess week 9 would be. Well, I guess it'd be like 2 more weeks or so. That's the early part though. Yeah, they would probably be 2-7, 2-8, something like that by then, and you would literally have to win out to have a chance in that division, and it's just too much. Yeah, they're out in my mind.
Based off the division standings and where the Seattle Seahawks lie at this very moment in time in our universe, you need to cross them off the list.
All right, Stephen Hawking.
In our universe, Jesus, is this the multiverse? Like, are we a Marvel now? Like, what's happening? I don't know. This one is tough for me because so right now in the conference, they're in 15th place. So they would have, if Russell Wilson is out 2 more weeks and they're 2-7, yeah, they would basically have to win out and go 10-7 to possibly make it. Now, obviously, they would have to overcome, they still got games against the Rams, against the Cardinals, against the 49ers. It's not going to be an easy task for them. So, yeah, I think we're going to cross them off. But can we reserve judgment if they do go on a run when Russell Wilson comes back? Can we reserve judgment to uncross them off? Should I cross them off in pencil?
I still think it's just going to be. I mean, Russell Wilson hasn't played that well, even when he's healthy. He's not the same quarterback he was even 2-3 years ago. So, I still think you cross him off the pen. I think they're done. I really do. I think even if Russell Wilson comes back sooner than people think.
All right. Well, I guess we're crossing them off then.
All right.
So that's 3 teams crossed off. We still got a couple more nominees. I'll give you guys another easy one. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Urban Meyer, Coach of the Year. They're gonna no. Yeah, that's an easy one. They're gone. They're a young team, and I've talked too much shit about Urban Meyer. I'm done. I'm done roasting him. I've done it every week on this show, so I'm not going to go there again. I'm a better person than that.
Yeah, you don't want to make Urban Meyer the butt of the joke anymore.
He's grinding.
We're crossing them off. I'm moving on now.
You didn't even get my thoughts.
We know what you're gonna say, Kirby. We got to move on before Dan starts going too deep in. Oh God!
I'm just saying about this Jacksonville Jaguars team. There's something about this team that I just can't put my mind on, but you just got to cross them off.
What does that even mean?
That makes no sense.
Cross them off.
We crossed them off.
My brain hurts from hearing that.
So that's 4 teams crossed off. We're 4 for 4, guys. So
okay, let's do it.
This is going splendidly well.
Can I add a wild card?
There's a lot of bad teams this year.
I still
really
got
are.
plenty of nominees here.
Can I just have one wild card? It's just going to be.
I'm positive I have that wild card on here. Let me get through the nominees first,
Washington
and then if I don't have
team.
it,
okay,
they are on the list. We'll get to them eventually.
They're not on the list, and I know that.
That's an easy one, but yeah,
they are. So the Miami Dolphins. Do we want to cross the Dolphins off?
Yeah,
I'll cross them off.
Go ahead and take care of them. Yep.
The New York Jets. Do we want to cross the New York Jets off?
Yeah. They're
so we have officially crossed off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. Now here's the fun part. So we can only cross off one more team. Okay.
All right.
So I'll give you the nominees. We have the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants,
so many bad.
The Washington Football Team. So 3 NFC East teams.
They're all bad.
Guess what? The only one that's not on there? The Dallas Cowboys, baby.
Playing well.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers. And I do want to also add the Denver Broncos.
You know what? Let's do either the Panthers or Broncos because I think the other ones are kind of easy, especially I think in the NFC East. None of those teams deserve to be in the playoffs except for Dallas. So I think let's do either what did you say, the 49ers or the Panthers?
I thought it said the Broncos or the Panthers.
Broncos, my bad. I don't know why I said 49ers.
Kirby?
I would say the Broncos to start.
Okay.
So you both want to cross off the Broncos.
Yes.
But I want to cross off the Washington Football Team. They have
I think
awful.
I think that's an easy one though. We could probably do that one.
But who's to say that the Broncos don't somehow pull it together? I mean, it'll be tough because, you got Vegas, you got the Chargers, and then we'll talk about Kansas City. But, if somehow Kansas City, even though we keep talking about it every week, can pull it together, and they haven't done it yet.
Unless all of a sudden the teams they play become winless overnight, then I don't think the Broncos are going to beat anybody that's worth anything.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately.
All right, well, majority rules. We're crossing off the Broncos then. So that's 7 teams we have crossed off from here on out. We can cross off.
And we know the 3 weeks
already
in a
know
row.
3 teams are already getting crossed off here. The Eagles, the Giants, and Washington. 49ers.
I was going to say
49ers are interesting because they have the potential to be a good team. It's just they're not performing right now, and they're going through a lot of injuries.
And the Colts beat them.
Yeah, but the Colts are starting to turn it around.
Yeah,
Colts are the Colts are a strange team themselves for sure.
Carson Wentz needs to be banned from ever doing a shuffle pass again.
Yeah,
you didn't have to do that against the Ravens. He was just throwing right down the field, guys wide open. Kind of similar to what happened.
So
this past weekend.
can I give my wild card before we move on from this?
Oh my
All right, go
God.
ahead.
What is this?
All right, Dan. I have one more.
He's picking the Ravens. He's picking the Ravens.
On the cross-off list, will the Virginia Tech Hokies make it to a bowl?
Oh my God.
No,
right,
they're not
move
going to
on,
make a
move
field
on.
goal. They're not going to
Don't
win another
even-
game, Kirby.
Don't even give him
right.
give him the airtime. Don't give
All
him the airtime for this. Move on.
Okay, I was just making sure because Dan was at that game. I was praying for a win, and it just
They're not
didn't
going to
happen.
make. They're not going to make it. No.
All right.
Fuente is going to be fired December 16th. Mark my words.
Yeah, he's done.
All
He's
right.
done.
Carlos, we
Anyway.
appreciate you taking that segment by the wheel.
It's great.
It was
I like
very
it.
fun.
I took it by the horns, boys.
Around the horn with Carlos, except on the horn. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Gentlemen, we have a lot more of NFL to talk about. We will do our extended version of the Hurry Up Offense right after this. You're listening to the Kirby on Sports Podcast. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Man, what do we have here? We have the weapon, Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. We're back. We are back, and it's the extended version
I hate myself.
of the Hurry Up Offense. Gentlemen, are we ready?
No, this week was so boring.
It's the garbage time week. Let's go.
This was how I heard described on the Bill Simmons podcast as the go to the pumpkin patch with your family week.
Perfect description.
Because you
bad.
missed nothing.
There's
Hey,
nothing.
hey, I'll tell you, starting off Thursday night, Case Keenum and the Cleveland Browns defeating Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver Broncos on Thursday
Yawn
night.
fest. What a yawn
fact
fest that
that-
game was.
How did the Broncos not win this game? The Browns had nobody. They had Case Keenum at quarterback.
Former
Hey.
Washington.
He's actually pretty serviceable as a backup if you look at backup quarterbacks.
Serviceable.
Serviceable.
Fair.
He's not a starter by any stretch.
Yeah.
But still, what I'm saying is like, it's not just that Case Keenum was playing. It's
Yeah.
also they were missing.
They had
they're
no one
missing
else
so
on
many
offense.
players.
Yeah. Well, don't forget Case Keenum also, like, when he was with the Vikings that one season, had an insane run into the
The
that
Minneapolis
was
Miracle.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs. But yeah, that game was kind of it was just a snooze fest kind of. The Broncos are their own worst enemy. I think that's the way I would describe them. This is a game that they had to be favored in, and they kind of wet the bed. So that's really the only way I would describe it. It's kind of a boring game. So,
all right, moving on. Dan, I'll say.
Wait, what? Okay, go ahead.
What were you saying?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. All
I got
right.
nothing.
Moving on. Dan, I don't think there is anything to hang your hat on about the Ravens. The Bengals, I just feel like they're a legit football team, and they defeat the Ravens 41-17 in Baltimore.
Dan,
They are professional.
Dan, wait. Before you go, I have to say it now. I have to.
You were wrong.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast, my fellow constituents in Kirby and Dan, I have to make a public apology. For I have made a grave mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I have an apology to make to one. What's his name again? I forgot his name.
Jamar Chase.
Oh my God. Yes, I have to make a public apology to Jamar Chase. Kirby, if you can edit this somehow and make it sound better, please, thank you.
And the silence while he put his hand over his heart was deafening. I love it.
I have to make an apology. I have said repeatedly on this podcast that he was the wrong pick, that the Bengals were going to suffer for it. Now, I still believe they will suffer because the offensive line is not great.
I agree.
But ultimately, that boy's a baller. And there's a reason why. And we saw Justin Jefferson balled out last year in his rookie year. But Jamar Chase was better than him at LSU. And we're seeing why. And he was the right pick and has them ahead of schedule. I apologize to Jamar Chase. Dan, you may now take the floor.
Yeah, I knew that week too. And I was surprised you still haven't.
Oh, shut the hell up. You did not.
Yeah,
this man has a crystal ball. He knows all things.
Yeah, I knew that week two Jamar Chase was the right pick. And
No, you didn't.
And what I was thinking,
no, you weren't.
Carlos,
you're full of it. You are full of it.
I'm not.
I was thinking right now that I was thinking back then that I wasn't really thinking, but I thought I was thinking.
You're full of it.
No, Jamar.
Hey, how about we let Dan talk about his team, because this is about his team and this is the hurry up offense. Let's go.
Yeah, you're not making things that quick, Carlos, just so you know.
I'm not the one derailing this right now by you trying to be like, oh, I knew that in the second week. Jamar Chase was nobody knew in the second week. And the second week, didn't they play the Bears? And didn't they get completely demolished?
Yes.
Let me make my public apology.
No. Shut your mouth.
He's
Kirby,
always got to take the spotlight when it's not about him. I know his name's on the title of the damn podcast, but come on, man. Okay, so
anyway,
I really don't have a lot to say about this game. It was just pretty much the Ravens' secondary injuries and all the stuff that they've gone through with injuries. It finally reared its ugly head, and there's nothing they could do.
Oh, man.
It was complete and utter domination. I would say all 8 of Jamar Chase's catches, I would say 7 of them he was wide open. And so that was really that was just kind of how it was. Also, the Ravens defense doesn't know how to properly tackle. They have to learn how to tackle during the bye week, or it's going to be a long season, a second half of the season. Got to credit the Bengals for what they've been able to do in just this season to be able to turn around, what they did last year and all the struggles they faced. Obviously, Joe Burrow going down didn't help their case. But I have nothing else to say. I mean, Lamar Jackson was under constant pressure. I mean, if I could count how many times the pocket collapsed, like 2 seconds after he took the snap, I would be a very, very rich man. I would not be sitting here right now. I'd have a gold microphone, all that sort of stuff. But it was really just it was a perfect storm. The Bengals defense, they knew, like, hey, the Ravens are banged up on their offensive line, and when their their right tackle gets hurt in the first quarter, then it becomes even worse. Then you have to have guys kind of be taped in there, and they're kind of stuck there. So, yeah, it was really the bottom line for this game is it was, I think the Ravens maybe underestimated the Bengals, and the Bengals wanted to come out and prove a point that they are a legitimate playoff contender, and they did that. Why are you still laughing? What's so funny?
I just can't get over that. I love you all.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It was tough.
Yeah. Ravens. I'm excited for the rematch. I can't wait for the Bengals and Ravens to play again.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be very exciting to see Lamar Jackson try to get his revenge.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that, because you could have said some terrible things, but
but I think
you're a good
also
man.
the Ravens the Ravens have been playing so good. I mean, they were bound to have an off day. It was an off day, and the Bengals were on. They were on. Like the Bengals were playing well, and the Ravens just weren't themselves. It happens.
Well, and then 2 years ago they had a similar loss about the same point in the season. It was like a 25-30 point loss. Same thing in 2012, which obviously that year we were like 10-6, 9-7, whatever it was. We were just able to win the division, and then of course we all know the rest. They go and win the Super Bowl. So I'm not concerned at this point. Now, if it's 2 or 3 weeks down the line and they're still losing like this, it's a little bit of a different story. But they've got time to clean it up, and I think that's the important thing. The biggest thing for them is just getting healthy. They got to get some of those pieces back, and they've still got a long way to go in that department.
Yeah.
All right,
Josh?
Let's move on to the next
He has
game.
no thoughts. Never has any. I'm just kidding.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
It's a joke. It's a joke. I was talking about the game.
Oh my gosh, stop yelling at me. I was joking too. Oh my gosh. We're so
I
hostile
love
in
you
this
all.
environment tonight.
I love you all.
There's no hostile environment.
Hostile.
Okay.
Hostile.
Okay.
Sorry. Let's get back to it.
The next game we are talking about, the Patriots over the Jets 54-13.
Skip. Just skip.
Congratulations. The Patriots finally won a home game. Yay.
Mike
Jets are
White,
pathetic.
202 yards and a touchdown.
Don't
Wow.
care.
Never heard of him.
I've never
Didn't
heard
even
of
know
him
he
either.
existed.
Very,
I
very
don't.
interesting.
I could
The
care very
Giants
less.
over the Panthers?
What happened to the
Gi-
Panthers?
Skip.
I don't know.
What happened to the Panthers? The Cowboys broke the Panthers. It's fine.
25-3, the Giants over the Panthers.
Yeah, and
Wow.
now everybody's swooning over Daniel Jones again and being like, "Oh my God, he's actually a good quarterback," and all this stuff. And then it's like when he plays an actual good team, he doesn't show up. Daniel Jones is extremely overrated.
I'll just say Jets Sam Darnold is back. That's all I'll say.
He sees ghosts at MetLife.
He was atrocious in this game. Yeah. He's seeing ghosts in Bank of America Stadium too.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they played at MetLife, but you get what I mean.
Somebody's watching
me.
Anyways,
Yeah. Also, the Panthers. Wow, they're terrible. They're actually terrible. They're bad.
they need
football
Christian
team.
McCaffrey back bad, and they need Gilmore to actually make a difference when Gilmore comes back.
All right.
I don't know if McCaffrey swings a lot of these games into wins. He gives them a better chance for sure. But
Mhm.
that offensive line is so horrid too. Like I think McCaffrey would probably just get hurt again if he came back, to be honest. I shouldn't laugh. That's terrible, but
but like, when is McCaffrey never not hurt?
I was gonna say he's
Yeah,
always injured, so.
that is true. He's been hurt a lot. You hear injury after injury, and it's like,
Yeah, and yet
Every
he's
season.
still like everybody's like first pick on fantasy draft. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
why- you're like, why are you draft Derrick Henry, a guy who's actually reliable?
yeah.
Yep.
Who's there every
retweet.
like? Why are we drafting Christian McCaffrey just because when he does play, he does put up some good numbers, but the guy can't stay healthy for a whole season?
Misses 6 or 7 weeks a season, yeah. At least.
That's my piece.
All right, Dan. I have a
Good stuff.
question for you about this next game. Do you think Carlos is ending the affair with the Chiefs?
No, I don't think so, but they are in deep trouble. That's all I'll say.
Very deep trouble. Very, very deep trouble. And to make things worse, Patrick
Boy, he said
Mahomes got concussed in that game. I'm not.
He did
sure
not get concussed. He didn't get concussed. He passed concussion protocol. He's fine.
So what does he have?
Nothing. He's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
They kept him
Thank
out.
God.
So he passed concussion protocol, and they kept him out of the game because there was no point
yeah.
in risking him again.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad he did not get. Nothing was major wrong with him. That is good. One good thing, but still, the Chiefs need to hit the panic button ASAP.
They already hit it.
So
I think they hit it like 2
you're
weeks
not
ago.
gonna actually say what game we're talking about. We're just gonna talk about the Chiefs.
The Chiefs and the Titans, man. The
Okay.
Chiefs
What was
and
the
the
score?
Okay,
Titans.
what was the score?
Yeah, introduce the
27
game.
to 3, man.
Okay. Now here's the thing. They pitched a shutout in the second half.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Titans didn't score again in the second half. So, I mean, we got something to base. Listen, the affair is not over with me. I will say the bells are ringing. The bells are ringing. The panic button is being pressed. The Chiefs are in trouble. And, at 3-4, now they do have another. We thought last week was their bounce back game. Obviously against Washington. They struggled in the first half. They played amazing in the second half. This game, they just didn't show up at all.
Yep.
I mean, damn, Derrick Henry had more touchdown passes than Patrick Mahomes did.
Yep.
That's impossible. Like, I don't know. This Chiefs team they're really struggling right now. Like, they really, really are. And now they have another bounce back game because they're playing the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. I mean, I have the Chiefs winning. They'll figure it out and win. But then after that, I mean, let's be honest. The game that we're all waiting for on this podcast is when the Chiefs and the Cowboys play, because that's going to be the game for my heart.
It's the
Right?
Carlos Bowl.
It's the Carlos Bowl. That's what we're going to call it. That's what we're going to call it. Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes is leading the league in interceptions. He's got the same amount of interceptions as Zach Wilson. He's had 6 interceptions in the last 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. It's really bad. And I just feel like, again, it's also a lot of plays are not going their way the way they used to. The team made this bread and butter on these crazy, outrageous plays, like balls hitting hitting a player off a helmet and like falling perfectly into Tyreek's hands and him making a big play like that. Those aren't going their way anymore. Patrick Mahomes is making very, very reckless mistakes, and I feel like I've been saying this whole entire season, they're a victim of their own success, and teams have figured out and are throwing these weird coverages at them that are taking Tyreek out of the game, that are taking Travis Kelce out of the game. And if you take those two out, nobody else on this team does anything. And
I agree.
We'll see what happens. The defense is atrocious. But they did play better in the second half, I guess. They pitched a shutout, but at that point the game was over.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope Andy Reid can get it put back together. I believe he can, and I hope this team can make the playoffs, but there's no way in hell they go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for them to get to the playoffs. Honestly, I think especially if they lose one more game in the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
for me, it's just going to be tough for them to come back from that. But I'll just say, I picked the Titans to be in the Super Bowl to start the season, and 3 weeks in, I was feeling like, God, that was such a terrible pick because they started the season so badly.
They weren't looking too hot.
And now,
they
they beat the Bills last week, and then this week they beat the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs aren't the same Chiefs they used to be, but they're still the Chiefs. Okay, let's not forget that. So they've impressed me a lot. Derrick Henry, I mean, he's just superhuman. He really is. I mean, he didn't rush for a whole lot of yards in this game, but he throws a touchdown pass. I mean, he can do it all. So, yeah, the Chiefs are in trouble, and Carlos pretty much summed it up beautifully. They have a ton of issues, and of course, they have running the football has been. I mean, I would like to know what they're ranked running the football this year. I would say they're down there. They're probably in the bottom, three teams in the league running the football. They're just pathetic. So that's a big part too of the big part of their offense in the past has been play action and sort of making plays off the run. You can't get it started if you can't run the football. So that's a big problem for them. And then defensively, I mean, they play great in the second half, but they can't stop anything. And that's just a huge concern. And in my mind, they're not really a playoff team right now. Well, right now, obviously not, but a couple big weeks coming up for them. They have to find a way to, right the ship a little bit if they're going to have a chance.
Yeah, they have some very tough. I mean, their bye week isn't until like after Dallas too, so they have a lot of tough games before they even reach the bye week. So they don't really have a lot of time to figure this out. They have to figure it out this week against the Giants, and then hopefully build momentum off of beating the Giants. But they have to beat the Giants. They can't lose another game until. I mean, Dallas is going to be their biggest test in these next upcoming games.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
So we'll see.
Yep, I agree with that, and hopefully the Chiefs can turn it around, but it's not looking good at this point so far. Moving on, the Green Bay Packers continuing to do Green Bay Packers things against the Washington football team, who their offense just looks discombobulated. Taylor Heineke doesn't know how to run into the end zone and does a Lambo leap when he doesn't score a touchdown. I mean, the defense, come on now. I mean, we've said it each and every week.
Same old story every week. It's literally the same old story.
Yes, same story, different week. I agree with that. So, I mean, the Packers look good, and they found a way to beat the Washington football team, and Chris blew it.
Found a way. Chris blew it?
Yeah, Chris blew it. A block kicked. But he did make one, which is good.
I'm sure you're happy about
you
that.
Act as if like he actually had a say in whether that kick was blocked. Like,
I'm going to kick it low on purpose. It was not a great kick. I mean, I agree, but you can't really. He hadn't kicked in 5 freaking years. Why is Washington signing a kicker that hasn't kicked since 2016? What the hell?
Because he was on the practice squad. Why are you signing a guy? Why not bring in a guy who's actually kicked in the past?
That's what I mean.
And you see Dustin Hopkins just getting signed by Los Angeles.
It's a Washington move. It just is. That's just how I would describe it.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Aaron Rodgers is doing what he does, and he did it beautifully again in this game.
But those jerseys that the Packers were wearing were fantastic, I thought.
Acme Packers.
The what?
The Acme Packers. That's what they were called before.
Packers.
Yeah.
That's what they were called. Wearing the old school unis?
Did you hear the story behind Acme Packers?
Wasn't that the original team or whatever?
Yeah, the original team. I forget who the owner was, but he went out and formed a football team, the Packers. And
here we go.
What happened was he couldn't find enough money to keep this team in business. So the warehouse he was working for was an Acme warehouse.
Yep.
Asked to sponsor the team, got uniforms, everything, and then they were blue, and then they switched it to green because they were in Green Bay. So that's what I heard. I thought it was very interesting. Moving on, the Falcons and the Dolphins, 30-28. Falcons winning.
Yeah, the Falcons wanted to lose this game. Yeah, the Falcons wanted to lose this game. Really, like they were trying to hand it to Miami, and Miami didn't want to take it. So Matt Ryan was like, all right, I guess I have to win this game. So we got him in a field goal range, and they made the field goal.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this game. Yeah. It was pretty brutal.
Just goes to show how great of a week this was.
No, this week sucked. It absolutely sucked.
Dude, I was being sarcastic. Chill.
There was too many good teams on bye weeks. Like they had 6 teams on bye this week. And they had the Chargers, they had the Cowboys, like 2 of the most entertaining teams in the league. You have them on byes.
Yeah, and the teams the matchups that we thought were going to be close weren't. So we thought Kansas City game was going to be good. We thought the Baltimore game was going to be good, and they weren't. So it happens. It's not often, but it happens.
Okay,
sorry,
so let's talk about one game. We're gonna skip around. The Buccaneers and the Bears. Do we think the fans that got Tom Brady's 600th touchdown.
No, stop. No, I don't even want to talk about this. This is such a stupid conversation. Don't bring this up. Move on. I'm tired of seeing this shit. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. Just move on. I don't even want to touch
so
this
dumb.
Very impassioned about this.
God,
You're so
Lord.
mad over the 600th ball.
no, I'm mad that fucking ESPN. Yes, I threw out another curse word. I'm so mad that they're like
They
pushing the
spend so much
stupid
time on it.
narrative of like,
Yeah.
oh, the fan law, like he dropped the bag. He could have sold it for no. He did the right thing. He gave the ball back to Tom Brady. He got well compensated for it. Tom Brady gave him a damn Bitcoin for free. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk
No,
about this.
I agree.
I mean, it was a very competitive game.
Shut up.
Was it?
No, it wasn't.
I got
Tom
you
Brady
there,
completely
Carlos.
dominated. He's looking. We can talk about Tom Brady. I'm fine with talking about Tom Brady. Tom
He
Brady
could play.
looks so incredible right now.
Yeah.
He's never looked better. I mean, maybe in 2007 that was his best version, but he looks so good right now.
I
I'm
think he looks
impressed.
better than 07. It's just because he's got 21 touchdowns through 7 weeks. 21 touchdowns.
Isn't he leading the league in
Unreal.
passing yards too?
Yeah. He's single-handedly just destroying everyone, and they run the ball pretty well too. So I mean, it's not
They're
just
starting to get their legs, but and then obviously with all the injuries and stuff too, all the guys
Yeah.
that are going to start coming back. This Tampa Bay team's not going to be easy to beat at all.
no. I don't see a lot of teams that could beat him, to be honest. And Brady just continues to defy everything. I don't know if he can play till 55. I'm not going to say that.
No,
That's insane. I do think he could play 3 or 4 more years, though. I do believe that. I think on the lower end of 50, I could see him playing till, but not 55. That would be. If he did that, everyone would just hate him because he'd win. He'd have like 15 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I don't know how. Honestly, somehow I also feel like maybe the reason why he's playing so good is because he's going for broke this season because this might be his last season.
You
Because
think?
he is 45.
It's a hot take.
I mean, this might be. I'm not saying I think. I'm just saying this might be. I think he's got maybe. I think he might play for another season or two, but I don't think.
Let's hope, because I don't want him to play 10 more years. I don't want to deal with this for 10 more years. Are
No.
you kidding?
I mean, Brady's at the end of the line here, but like he still looks so good. Like I don't understand how
Crazy.
he does it. I don't know.
Freaking crazy, dude.
He's the only guy that's beating Father Time right now. And
Yep,
we thought Father
he's-
Time was undefeated.
Not with Tom Brady.
Nope. Furthermore, for the Bears on the Bears side, I mean, we'll touch
Yeah.
on them really
Dumpster
quickly.
fire.
Matt Nagy needs to be fired. He's awful. He
He
does have
tested
COVID. Hope he
positive for
survives.
COVID.
Hope he survives COVID. Hope he survives, but he needs to be fired.
I agree.
And poor Justin Fields. Poor Justin Fields.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
game ain't looking so slow now, is it, man? Tell you what.
No, not when you got freaking that
Took
front.
a wicked strip sack in that game early on. I mean, it was literally domination from the Bucs defense too,
From start to finish.
start to finish.
All right. Let's see here. The former Texans, J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins, faced their former team in the Texans, and the Cardinals beat them 31-5. Is there anything we need to touch on there?
Just skip it. It's
Yeah, revenge has never tasted so sweet. There we go.
yeah,
Hey,
perfect.
that's good, Carlos. What about this Lions and Rams game? The Lions, I think Motor City Dan Campbell threw out all the stunts trying to beat the Lions, and wasn't it 2 fake punts or something like that?
You fake punts and an onside kick.
An
in the
onside
fourth
kick.
quarter.
Yeah. Was it an onside kick to start the game? Wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think that's what they said. I mean, I didn't really watch this game.
Yeah, I
wasn't
didn't
really
actually
that
watch
interested
any
in
of
it,
this
so.
game. But they played 3
yeah.
good quarters, and then the fourth quarter, I mean, Matthew Stafford got going and
He got hot.
ended up beating them.
Yep. Not much else to say.
They want. I mean, I know Jared Goff obviously definitely wanted this game because, of course, it's playing against his old team, playing against Sean.
Revenge. Yeah.
We've heard about the tension that's been between Sean McVay and Jared Goff and how they weren't the best communicators towards the end. the Detroit Lions tried everything. They tried everything they could to win this game.
You have to give them
It just
credit
wasn't
for
enough.
that.
They just don't have enough talent the same way that Los Angeles does.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
I
it.
agree. A rainy Sunday night, the Colts and the 49ers, but Carson Wentz, a shovel pass in the rain that gets intercepted. I mean, don't try that in the rain. Come on, man.
Carson
One of
Wentz
the
doing
worst
Carson Wentz
plays.
shit.
Yeah, he really does. He played well otherwise. But yeah, the Niners, they're in deep trouble. So
Yeah, I don't know how much. Well, I mean, Jimmy G's definitely not playing to keep his job right now. He's not taking the opportunity to try and keep his job basically. And for the Colts, I mean, they're starting to make a bounce back. Obviously, they got their game against the Titans this week, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
should be a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really watch this game. I was busy doing other things.
I don't blame
the weather
you.
The weather was frightful.
I mean, honestly,
It's not
I
even
tapped
the
out. I
holidays.
tapped out after like during the Tampa Bay game. I was like, I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah,
this
watching
week
that game
stinks.
was it for me too. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm done. I'm done with football for today. It's enough. First
All
time
right.
I've ever said that, I think.
in a while.
The Raiders beating the Eagles by 10.
Skip.
Yeah, who cares?
All right.
I mean,
Raiders-
hold on. Yeah, actually, no, wait, hold on. Go back. The Raiders are 2-0 without John Gruden. They're actually playing better without John Gruden.
Which
I
I am
think John Gruden
surprised.
might have
I'm
been the
surprised
problem.
we didn't bring that up, but that
might have
is
been the
a
problem.
very interesting take. And
Mhm.
this new head coach, I can't pronounce his last name, but wow. I mean, the interim head coach, excuse me. I guess the Raiders are,
Still in it. They're still
whatever
in
they're
it.
doing, keep doing it.
Well, if
Mhm.
he keeps winning, he's going to be the permanent head coach at the end of the season. So he's done a great job with those guys, and like we said, maybe Gruden was the problem there. Maybe his aggressive way of coaching just doesn't work in the NFL anymore. Imagine that. Who would have thought?
Maybe. Who knows? But they're playing a lot better without him.
Yep.
Last but not least, the Saints
least.
over the
No,
Seahawks.
but listen, this game was the only the only interesting thing that happened was the Manning cast came back. Tom Brady was on. I could listen to that. I ate that up. I ate that
Marshawn
up
Lynch.
all the time.
Marshawn Lynch was
Yeah,
great.
congratulations to Marshawn Lynch for giving them their first FCC violation. I laughed so hard when he
He
said
dropped
it.
the F-bomb.
Yeah, he did. We drop it a lot on this show too, so it's fine.
Don't bring us into this.
Yeah, don't bring
was
us
about
into
to
this,
say.
Mr. Martinez.
I
That's
drop
bad.
it a lot, and you know
yes,
what?
yet you drop
Sorry,
it
not
a lot.
sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Jeez.
Here we go.
We're not gonna get into this, but
This game
yeah,
sucked.
no,
It
the
sucked.
game sucked. But the conversations that Peyton and Eli were having with Tom Brady, that
Keeps
was
it
my favorite
entertaining.
one. It was fantastic.
Totally agree.
With the Ole Miss jersey on, that was very funny.
Yeah, I'm surprised Peyton could get over his forehead. All right, that's the only Peyton Manning joke I'm going to make.
All
Fair
right.
enough. Fair enough.
So
They are
Oh.
made to do that though. Like they should be signed by someone to do that permanently, I think.
I mean, they're signed permanently to do it on ESPN, I guess.
Yeah.
The thing is, the only thing
ESPN kind of
the thing that sucks though is, when they have guests on, sometimes there's a lag in the Zoom call, and it's very telling because like it's just they're just off, and
Yeah.
I don't know, and then sometimes it just kind of like distracts from the game, and like sometimes
Yeah.
I want to hear like Peyton and Eli like actually like point out things that teams are doing. So I think they need to chill out with the guests.
Yeah, if it was a non-COVID situation, it would be a lot better because they'd all be sitting in the same room together, and there wouldn't be the delay that there is. Zoom is no offense to Zoom. I know we use that, so thank you, Zoom. But it does lag sometimes, even if you're like hardwired in. So anyway, that's just a side note. Doesn't even add anything to the conversation. I just wanted to hear my own voice, I think. Anyway,
all right.
what's next, Mr. Josh?
We'll
What to-
take a quick break, and then we will wrap things up. Thanks for listening to the extended version of the Hurry Up Offense. We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com, and I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
All right, wrapping things up here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. The weapon Dan Dembski is with me. The Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez is with me. Gentlemen, week 8 is upon us. What are we looking out for?
The bye week. No, Packers Cardinals. I mean, that's
Obviously.
that's it. That's the game. Even with all the injuries, the matchup is still so intriguing to me. That's going to be a fun one, I think. And definitely, so far, the game of the season for me.
For me, it is the return of the Dallas Cowboys coming off the bye week. I've missed them. I didn't realize how much I missed them. You don't realize what you have till it's gone. And not having them last week made football very boring. So I'm excited to see them beat the Vikings. I'm hoping Dak plays. It looks like he's going to play. And I hope we get more players back, but we're gonna beat.
I'll clap to that one.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate.
That was a weak clap, but yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I really do think
Josh?
that I really do think that this Packers Cardinals contest will be an exciting one, and I'm looking forward to watching.
I just wish the Packers were at full strength. I want to see them at full strength. I want to see the Cardinals at full strength. I don't want asterisks on this game.
Maybe a live stream.
Probably.
We'll think about it.
All right,
Maybe
that
something.
about wraps it up for another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Thanks to Trumbull Insurance. Patrick Bankemper, contact him for all your insurance needs, 540-532-0622. For our sponsors, Regroup Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis. With Icon Real Estate, this has been another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms, all social media platforms. Like, comment, share, subscribe on YouTube. Check out all of our work, www.kirbyonsports.com. Until the next time you hear our voices, always remember to create greatness. So long and peace out.